While the Crownlands is full of large houses with long and storied histories, there are just as many that either play a much more minor role in the history of the Crownlands, or perhaps have not had their history as deeply documented as others. But that does not mean they are not important in their own way, with some of these more smaller houses playing some key roles during the history of Westeros, in particular that of House Targaryen. House Buckwell of the Antlers is a noble house from the Antlers in the Crownlands. They are sworn directly to the Iron Throne, meaning theoretically they were sworn to House Targaryen till 283 AC, then House Baratheon at King's Landing ever since. According to some sources, they blazon their arms with a rack of golden antlers on there. Their words are pride and purpose. The first mention we have of them comes during the downfall of Maegor the Cruel in 48 AC, as the Lords of the Realm began to lose support for Maegor, turning towards his nephew, Jaehaerys Targaryen. The then Lord Buckwell was one of the few lords to rally to Maegor's call. But after Maegor mysteriously died upon the Iron Throne, Lord Buckwell, among others whom had supported Maegor till the bitter end, sailed across the narrow sea to Pentos to flee the wrath of the new king. However, in the end, the King Jaehaerys was merciful, letting the lords loyal to Maegor off with only a minor punishment, allowing Lord Buckwell to return to Westeros. During the main book series in 298 AC, Sir Jarman Buckwell commands the scouts during the great ranging of the Night's Watch from Castle Black. Jarman leads the scouting mission to climb the giant stair in search of the wildlings. By the time they return, the disastrous fight at the Fist of the First Men had already happened, and Lord Commander Jeor Mormont's party evacuated for Craster's Keep. Jarman's team remained in the wilderness, tracking Mance Raider's host, where they spot Jon Snow walking freely amongst the wildlings. Jarman's team is able to return to Castle Black after the main party arrives, but before Jon Snow does. Jarman reports to Maester Aemon and Donal Noy that Jon may have turned cloak. In A Dance with Dragons, Jon thinks to himself that the Night's Watch has lost too many of its best men, including Jarman, indicating the scout is now most likely deceased. House Chyttering is a noble house of the Crownlands, sworn to House Baratheon of King's Landing directly. According to some sources we have access to, the arms depict 3 golden bendlets enhanced on white. Very little is known about their history prior to 298 AC. We do know that a Lord Chyttering died at the Battle of the Blackwater fighting for Stannis Baratheon, and that young Lucas Chyttering is regarded by Stannis as one of the few good men that remain loyal to him after the defeat of the Blackwater. House Cressey is a noble house from the Crownlands. According to some sources, they blazon their arms with 7 silver coins upon a red bend cinster between 2 helmets, silver on blue. They were active during the regency period of King Aegon III Targaryen in the year 133 AC, which implies they played some part in the Dance of the Dragons in some capacity. The then Lord Cressey was part of Lord Manfred Mooton's diplomatic mission to Braavos in 133 AC after Lord Alan Velaryon attacked a Braavosi ship. While Manfred treated with the Sea Lord of Braavos, Lord Cressey and Follard spread bribes among the Braavosi keyholders, magisters and other nobles. House Edgerton is a noble house from the Crownlands, which according to some sources blazon their arms with quartered black and white, half usually a wheel of flame on indigo. We know practically nothing of their history or any members of their house. However, it is known they are sworn to House Baratheon at King's Landing. Thus it is likely if they predate Robert's rebellion, they would have been sworn to House Targaryen during this time frame. House Harte is a noble house of the Crownlands. The Hartes are sworn directly to House Baratheon at King's Landing, and according to some sources, they blazon their arms with 3 red harts' heads on a white bend on there. When the realm began to turn against King Maegor I Targaryen in favour of Prince Jaehaerys in 48 AC, Lord Harte was among the score of lesser lords who gathered in King's Landing at the command of Maegor. However, when Maegor died upon the Iron Throne overnight, Lord Harte fled back to his seat. When the young King Jaehaerys I resided at Dragonstone during his brief regency period, Lord Harte was one of the several lords who travelled to the island to speak with the king, and was ultimately pardoned for his role during the final days of Maegor's reign. At the beginning of the Dance of the Dragons in 129 AC, Lord Harte was among the nobles at court loyal to Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen and was imprisoned for his loyalty by the Green Council. Lord Harte was brought before the King's Justice and beheaded for refusing to bend the knee to King Aegon II Targaryen. By 133 AC, during the regency of King Aegon III Targaryen, Sir Dennis Harte accompanied Lord Manfred Booton to Braavos. During this time in the city, Dennis allegedly engaged the services of the Faceless Men to kill a rival back in King's Landing. Around the same time, back in Westeros, Lady Hazel Harte, wife of Daeron Velaryon, succumbed to the winter fever. House Langward is a noble house from the Crownlands, who blazon their arms with per fessy undi, a crown of white stars on burgundy above black. From the little information we have, House Langward appears to have been active during the period before Aegon's conquest. Sir Harold Langward served in the King's Guard during King Maegor the Cruel's reign from 42 to 48 AC. After Maegor's mysterious and suspicious death upon the Iron Throne, the new king, Jaehaerys I Targaryen, offered Maegor's surviving King's Guard a choice between execution or taking the Black, as the young king deemed them all traitors, loyal to Maegor till the end. Sir Harold asked for trial by combat, which he was granted. He fought and was subsequently slain by Sir Giles Morrigan. House Mallery is a noble house from the Crownlands, who blazon their arms with 6 white mallets on violet. Before the sudden and mysterious death of King Maegor the Cruel in 48 AC, the then Lord Mallery remained loyal to Maegor, even as scores of other lords rallied to the banner of his nephew, Prince Jaehaerys. At Maegor's death, he fled back to his seat, fearing the wrath of the new king. Sir Raymond Mallery had served in the King's Guard of Maegor and alongside Sir Oliver Bracken, turned cloak and joined Jaehaerys. But the new king sent them to join the Night's Watch instead of keeping them on the King's Guard. Later in 50 AC, Mallery and Bracken rebelled against the Watch, seeking to make themselves lords of their castles at the Wall. However, Sir Raymond was killed by wildlings when he attempted to flee beyond the Wall. During the events of A Game of Thrones, Lord Lothar Mallery is chosen by Lord Eddard Stark to accompany Lord Beric Dondarrion in his mission to detain Sir Gregor Clegane. However, he drowns at the Mummers Ford. House Manning is a noble house from the Crownlands, who blazon their arms with a red sea lion between 2 black pallets on white. The aquatic nature of their sigil suggests the house may control territory along the shores of Blackwater Bay, or perhaps an island in the bay itself. If this is the case, then it might be likely they may have supported Stannis Baratheon during the War of 5 Kings, like the other houses within the bay itself. House Rambton is a noble house from the Crownlands, who blazon their arms with a white ram's head with golden horns on red. During the events of A Game of Thrones, the arms of House Rambton are spotted by Lord Eddard Stark during the Hand's Tourney. Later during the events of A Clash of Kings, Sir Hubbard Rambton leads his 3 sons to defend the Sept at Dragonstone when the Queen's men come to burn it. A brawl ensues where he and his sons kill 4 of the Queen's men, but Hubbard and 1 of his sons are slain as well. Lord Gunser Sunglass refuses to support Stannis Baratheon after the fight. During a storm of swords, Hubbard's 2 remaining sons and Lord Sunglass are burnt alive by Stannis' wife, Queen Selyse Florent. House Rollingford is a noble house from the Crownlands, who according to some sources blazon their arms with 6 roundels fountain on grey. House Rollingford supported Maegor the Cruel until the bitter end, as lords began to favour his nephew, King Jaehaerys. After Maegor's death upon the Iron Throne in 48 AC, Lord Rollingford fled to Pentos, fearing the wrath of the new king. He was later one of the lords to visit Jaehaerys on Dragonstone, and was ultimately pardoned for his role in Maegor's reign. During Lord Mooton's peace mission to Braavos in 133 AC, during the reign of King Aegon III, Sir Herman Rollingford was slain by a bravo. House Sunglass of Sweetport Sound is a noble house sworn to Dragonstone in the Crownlands. The location of Sweetport Sound has not yet been stated in text. Their blazon is composed of 7 gold, 7-pointed stars in a ring of white. During the War of 5 Kings, Lord Gunser Sunglass answers the summons of Stannis Baratheon when he calls his banners against King Joffrey I Baratheon. Gunser is seen wearing moonstones at the throat and wrist, and fingers by Maester Cressey at Dragonstone after Melisandre's profaning of the Sept of Dragonstone and the deaths and imprisonment of its defenders from House Rambton. The pious Lord Sunglass declares to Stannis that he no longer supports his claim, which leads to his imprisonment. The 3 galleys belonging to House Sunglass, Piety, Prayer and Devotion, are seized by Stannis for his royal fleet. They take part in the Battle of the Blackwater. During a storm of swords, we find out that Melisandre and Queen Selyse Florent burnt the prisoners in Dragonstone's dungeons, including Lord Gunser, as a sacrifice to R'hllor. After Gunser is burned, his brother, the new Lord of Sweetport Sound, flees to Volantis. The jailer of Dragonstone, Lamprey, wears a soiled white doublet with 7 golden stars of House Sunglass embroidered on it. It is unknown whether he took it from Lord Gunser or was formerly in service of the house. One of the conspirators who helped Lord Davos Seaworth smuggle away Edric Storm, Sir Tristan of Tally Hall, had been in the service to Lord Gunser. As of the publication of A Dance with Dragons, that is all we currently know of House Sunglass and the houses of the Crownlands.